Listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. You will have time to read the instructions and questions and you will be given time to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts.
Now turn to part 1.
You will hear a conversation about accommodation rules. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. You will see there is an example that has been done for you. On this occasion only, the conversation relating to this will be played first. Good morning, everyone. I'm your accommodation advisor. Well, firstly, welcome to Thomas House, which is one of the most popular accommodations in our university. I will give you an introduction about the house and answer your questions. The name of the house is Thomas House, so Thomas House has been chosen. Now we shall begin. You should answer the questions as you listen, because you will not hear the recording a second time. Listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3. Good morning, everyone. I'm your accommodation advisor. Well, firstly, welcome to Thomas House, which is one of the most popular accommodations in our university. I will give you an introduction about the house and answer your questions. As you know, the building was constructed in the middle of the 18th century and was used by the family of Thomas. That's, of course, how the house and university got its name. We repaired it and added some new and modern facilities last year.
Excuse me, advisor?
Yes?
What kind of facilities are there in Thomas House?
There are 3 floors. A front hall and a dining room are on the ground floor.
Does the house have a garden?
Of course.
And a garage?
No. We don't provide parking lot to students.
Okay.
A small gym with some new equipment is on the 2nd floor.
Does it have a computer room?
No, I mean a leisure room on the 2nd floor, and you can find a comfortable lounge with a big balcony on the same floor.
How about bedroom and bathroom?
They are both on the top.
How many students are there in one flat?
4 to 6.
I wonder if I have to share a bathroom with others.
No, we provide every student a bedroom and a bathroom.
Great.
Now, look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 4 to 10. There are some rules in Thomas House. Firstly, smoking is not allowed in both your bedroom and the bathroom.
Does the house have a smoking section?
No, you can smoke on the balcony or outside the house.
Advisor, is there a laundry in the house?
Of course, laundry room is located on the right corner of the 2nd floor.
Sure.
But please do not use it after 11 o'clock.
Is it free to us?
In fact, you don't need to pay any bills which are included in your accommodation fee, but you have to pay laundry fee.
How much?
We offer 2 coin-operated washing machines. The large one is £2.50 and the small one is £1.60.
If the lounge has a time restriction?
Definitely. We ask all students to keep quiet and do not make noise after 11 o'clock.
We know there is a backyard in the house.
Yes.
If we can park our car there?
No, we do not allow parking in our yard.
OK. Could we invite some friends to hold a party in the garden or lounge?
We only allow party on weekends.
Fine.
The last rule is to pay attention to the opening time of the front hall. The door is locked at 11 p.m. and opened again at 6 a.m. in the next morning. Remember to take the front door key when you go out early or come back late.
How could we get the front door key?
You can go to Residence Office building and get your key in room 101.
Sure.
Well, any questions? This is the end of section 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Part 2.
You will hear an introduction about sports matches. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 17. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 17. Good morning, everyone. I'm Mary White, the secretary of the exciting sports club. Welcome to attend Match's arrangement meeting. I know you are looking forward to a great season. Now, I'd like to give you a short introduction to our arrangement in this season. This season, we still have 2 competitions. One is tennis and the other is soccer. Let's start with tennis. There will be 6 teams competition. We hope the players' ages are between 16 and 22 years old. While the number of soccer teams is only 4 in this season, because we hope all players' ages are no more than 20 years old. Now, in this new season there are some changes. The first one is the venue. We will arrange all our matches for both the tennis and soccer competitions in Magic Park instead of Darry Park, which was used last year. Tennis matches will be arranged on Court 2 and Court 4 will hold soccer matches. Our match schedule: all tennis matches will be played on Sunday afternoons. All matches will begin at 2 o'clock. Soccer matches in this season will be played at 7 o'clock on Saturday evenings. The joining fee is still £30, including a new sport gear. We still offer a week of training session before formal match for our new players. There are 2 training sessions at 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. on next Friday and Saturday afternoon. The fee is only £12. Now, I'd like to introduce the coach of each training session, George Hanson, who has been supervised the tennis teams for over 4 years, will still be coach this season. While we will invite a good soccer coach who has enough patience and professional skills to work as this season's soccer coach. His name is Paul Batt. Now, look at questions 18 to 20. Now, listen carefully and answer questions 18 to 20. In addition, we offer some activities to thank all players. Please look at your brochure. There are some activities and their time arrangements. At the beginning, we hope to start the season with a barbecue dinner on next Saturday in Magic Park. I do really hope all players will go there to enjoy the dinner, and you may invite your relatives and friends. Of course, they have to pay a little fee, with just £5. And then, after the final match in the season, we will vote this season's MVP, the most valuable player. The 2 players from tennis team and soccer team will gain an honour and a prize from our sports centre. This season we hope all players can send a confirm letter to us to ensure our match arrangement. So please write to us before the deadline. It is on Thursday, 18th of April. Our secretary, David Black, is in charge of collecting fees and your letters in this season. His room number is 214 and his phone is 332567. This is the end of section 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Part 3.
You will hear 3 students, Steve, David and Susan, discussing a science lecture they attended. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
What did you think about the lecture, David?
I thought it was rather interesting. I liked the way it examined the personalities as well as the achievements of the 3 great physicists of history. It was also interesting in the way it highlighted that all of them had traits in common, despite being removed by centuries. What did you think, Stephen?
I thought, for their times, all 3 scientists were quite revolutionary. Also, I found it quite funny how Galileo, the Italian physicist, in his great work, what was it called?
It's usually abbreviated to 2 systems.
Yeah, in the 2 systems. It isn't really science in the conventional sense at all because it's so funny. How can science have characters, one of them with the name Simplicio?
I think, though, that it stands as significant in that it was the first major work in which authority was challenged. Before that, the church and the state and royalty all held absolute authority over the thinking of the times, but Galileo was brave enough to challenge this by putting forward scientific truth. It simply started everything.
I agree with you there, and it was important, and I don't wish to underestimate that at all. But Galileo's works were somewhat scattered. He couldn't fuse all the ideas together. That had to wait for Newton's Principia.
So why do we call it that? It's not even English.
Well, Newton wrote his Principia in Latin, as was the practice of all scientists of the time. Principia is the key word in the title, which we usually use when referring to this great work.
And I think you're right, David. Its significance lies in the way it finally created order. Before that, things were still confused, disordered, let's say.
That's right, Susan. With Newton, the heavens became like a clockwork mechanism where the orbits and motion of the planets and comets could be predicted. Newton simply created order and suddenly the universe seemed understandable.
Until Einstein came along and confused the hell out of everyone.
Yes, I agree that his relativity is mathematically complex, but once you conquer this, it is remarkably straightforward.
Why did he call it relativity, anyway?
Because every motion is relative to the motion of other bodies, hence relativity.
I suppose it's a logical name, when you think about it.
Yes, and the significance of the theory lay in the way it explained gravity. Prior to that, gravitational motion or action at a distance was just assumed to happen, but nobody quite knew why. Einstein was successful in providing a theory which explained this, and that theory has lasted to the present day. That makes it quite an accomplishment.
I think we'd have to agree that all three scientists accomplished much in their own way.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
So, David, you're obviously impressed with these three scientists, so it would be interesting to know who you think was the greatest of all.
Well, strictly it's impossible to say, since everything is relative to the times in which these scientists lived. Newton built upon the works of Galileo and Einstein built upon the works of Newton.
But that's not true, actually. Einstein's theories were non-Newtonian, which is why they were so substantially ahead of their time. Given this, I'd say Einstein is the greatest.
Well, certainly, Steve. I accept that Einstein was great and substantially ahead of his time, but Newton's laws are still used today. Galileo, in contrast, didn't form any workable theory that lasted, and Einstein's theories are more just theoretical abstractions.
Well, not really. We still use them for cosmological theories, black holes.
Not for everyday life, not for normal planetary physics. In that sense, Newton has stood the test of time and must be considered the best of all. What do you think, Susan?
Did you know that Newton's first law of motion is often attributed to Galileo, and that Galileo is known as the father of modern science, even by Einstein, which supports him being the greatest? I would say that we must acknowledge the man who first started the scientific revolution. Without his work, we wouldn't have Newton or Einstein.
Oh, Susan, that's ridiculous. Galileo's works were unscientific and almost farcical. Look, here's Peter. Let's ask him. Peter, which scientist do you think was the greatest?
Greatest? The old argument. Einstein is the conventional answer, but when it comes down to it, no one quite knows what his theories really mean. Newtonian physics is at least understandable, so I'll go for him.
Yes, there you go.
Well, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one.
That is the end of section 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Part 4.
You will hear a lecturer talking about brands and branding. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 35. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 35.
In the Wild West, without fences or defined ownership of land, one man's cattle could easily be mixed up with another. Hence, cattle were branded. That is, a sign was scarred onto their skin using a hot iron brand. Well, we still use the word today, but in a more general sense. Putting it simply, a brand is a name, term, design or symbol which identifies one's seller's goods from another. The car model might be called an Echo, but the brand is Toyota, complete with a Toyota symbol. People will trust brands, leading them to buy other products of the same brand. Then it has achieved brand recognition, which is a very good thing to have. Similarly, perhaps your clothes are Gucci, your jeans are Calvin Klein, your medicine is Procter & Gamble, and your cheesecake is the pleasantly termed Sara Lee. And that's the way you like it. Actually, all those previous brand names show you one way to coin the name of your brand. Just name your company and its products after yourself. This is known as using founders' names, which is all right if your name is catchy and cadent, such as, well, Calvin Klein, but there are many other ways as well. Well, here are some other ways to decide on your new brand name. You could use an acronym such as IBM or AWA, which sounds modern, scientific, and technically proficient. You might also wish to evoke feelings with an evocative name, such as Everest Airlines, where the skies are yours, or Amazon Books, with streams of literature, biggest in the world, or Nike, named after the winged Greek god of victory. Alternatively, you might like to describe your product by using a descriptive brand name, Safe and Sleep Bedding, Ever Alert Security System, and so on. Or you could make it rhyme to be more easily remembered, Reese's Pieces, Faster Pasta, and others. Another method is just to invent a word where none existed before, technically known as a neologism. Names such as Wii, Kodak, or Rolex. And there are more methods as well. Each comes with its own appeal, but ultimately, everyone wants a global brand. Facebook, Pepsi, Nike, a name recognized all around the world.
Before you hear the rest of the lecture, you have some time to look at questions 36 to 40. Now listen and answer questions 36 to 40.
Now, let's go a little deeper into brands. One of the things which companies seek for their brands is an independent identity, or a concept regarding how the buyer feels about or perceives the product. A good example is Marlboro cigarettes with its cowboy imagery and sponsorship of car racing, all targeting a manly, tough male buyer. In other words, the images, commercials, logos, sponsorship and product packaging are all carefully designed to cultivate a single identity which resonates, in theory, with the target market. The core element of this is the logo, the visual symbol that represents the brand. So, if, for example, the product is for younger people, say Nike jogging shoes, the catch cry is, "Just do it," and high-profile athletes appear in all their advertisements. Think of that Nike logo, that single tick, one of the most recognizable logos in the world. And it's all consistent with the symbolism of power, speed, and freedom. On the other hand, if you are targeting a richer, more mature, and male buyer, say with Rolex watches, the brand image might be one of solidity, sophistication, reliability, and the Rolex logo, a crown, that sign of royalty, of might and power, top of the heap, similarly puts forward this image. If we are targeting the younger teenage market, say with Calvin Klein jeans, the brand image is one of sexiness, rebellion, and freedom from conventions. The logo is simply the name on the jeans, but it is linked to that famous series of sexy models and those controversial ads, which still run to this day. This is all big science now, collectively known as brand management. It's complicated, but when done well, can result in millions of dollars in extra sales.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 30 seconds to check your answers to Part 4. That is the end of the listening test.